Daith da, I'll be knacking. Welcome to podcast number 192. I hope you're all well. I think I'll first just do a little recap of perhaps some of the funerals we've done again since I spoke to you last time, which includes, end of last week, Tony's funeral. And Tony, their family, we've known them for such a long time. And we had a booty service there for at Glyn Valley. I'm sure he would have loved it. The crowd there was brilliant. And it was dry and people were stood outside in the waiting room. A fantastic turnout, it really was. And we did have a lovely service for him there. Me weekend, I did plan my usual Saturday morning paperwork and then hopefully a bit of time off. But you can't plan nothing in this job. And I spent most of Saturday out on calls. Not too far away this time because, as some of you might know, a lot of the nursing homes that were in Wadebridge have all closed. So we've just got St Brioch Home now is the only care home here in town. But then apart from that, you can go Bodmin. We got a couple out St Mimber Way now, but when you think of the number of care homes there used to be in town, so we could be going anywhere. But of all the calls we had, they was all pretty local. So that was okay. And actually, Saturday and Sunday, we did manage a little time out on the push bikes, which was good. It was dry. And I'm getting more of a fair weather cyclist, I think, as the time goes on. I don't mind cycling in the rain, but I can't be bothered with the blooming cleaning of the bike afterwards and cleaning the chain and everything. But we did manage to have a couple of rides over the weekend. And then back this week, 'twas full on. It really was, starting at 8:20 Monday morning for one of our direct funerals straight at the crematorium. And then we had a massive funeral for dear Tim. God, what a turnout that was. Poor old Tim, a few years younger than me. And, it just showed how well liked he was. The church was packed. I did say to the family, they knew there was going to be a big crowd. They really did. But I did say to them, I think we're going to need the PA system for outside. I don't know what you think. And they agreed, yeah, we ought to have it. And we was at Lanteglis Church there, just on the outskirts of Camelford. And I did put a video on our RJ Bray Facebook page, just of the churchyard, the top bit of it. Oh, it is beautiful. It really is. But we actually went and set our PA up on Friday, because I like to get it all sorted before. And we was restricted a little bit because they had building work done. I think it's the windows are being replaced up in the Lady Chapel. And we had scaffolding inside the church up there, which for Tim was appropriate. I thought that was brilliant. But sometimes if I know the families or know their friends and that, you kind of guide families. But we all agreed perhaps we ought to have the PA system. Well, we was there and few people were coming in, and the church was pretty much full, I would think. We'd put extra chairs up with Help of Mary there, up at the front of the choir stalls, but they was empty. But everywhere else, I think every other seat was full. But I thought, crumbs, I would have thought there'd be more here than this, really. I thought this has caught me a bit off guard. And I looked outside, and all I could see outside was about 15 people standing, which I found out later was family, because I just looked, they was in the distance sort of thing. And I thought, crumbs, I thought there'd be more here than this. So anyway, just before the hearse comes, I go out and I look up the road and I could not believe it. There must have been between 120 and 150 people stood at the top of the road. And Mike, one of me bearers, he was going around trying to see them all to get them to sign attendance cards and everything. And of course, then they all come down. And, there must have been easy 400 people at that funeral. It was fantastic. And yes, we did need the PA system. But it's a beautiful set in Lanteglis. It really is. And, we had a lovely send-off for Tim. And then we had a lovely little intimate service in the crematorium in the afternoon for Marion as well. So from one extreme to the other, but of course the age difference was there. Of other funerals we've had this week was Claire. Now, Claire, again, a real bridger. His family, they had the milk round here for decades, and also the butcher shop up Moser Street. And Mark, his boy, and Andrea, I think she helps out there too as well. They've still got the butcher shop there. Of course, the milk round, well, that's gone now. You know, when supermarkets started doing milk, that kind of killed off the milk round, really. But Claire's funeral, again, church was full, lovely crowd. And Johnny did the eulogy. And we often say, I mean, it's such a terribly sad time, a funeral, but sometimes a little bit of humour helps a bit. And, you know, Johnny just put a little bit of that in the eulogy as well. And it does help lift people. But yeah, that was a lovely service. Wednesday, we had two very similar funerals, really, both at the crematorium. Brian from Magdalen, before that Lostwithiel, and Jean from Bodmin. And again, lovely crowds there. Well, lots of familiar faces, really, but say all was well there as well. And then today, another time we had another early morning service. And then after that, we were at Penmount for Joanna's funeral. And quite a chilled atmosphere down there, I must admit, because Penmount isn't as busy as it used to be. I think what really cut the numbers at Penmount was when Tresswithian opened down Camborne. So you can imagine now that anybody from Redruth down that would always go Penmount for a funeral, they go Tresswithian now. So quite often, there might not be anything before you or after you at Penmount, which was the case today. So it does feel, you know, quite chilled and relaxed. And I mean, dear old Joanna, she was 99 and so young at heart. And there was a lovely little bit which made me smile, as it did everyone else there, was when Joanna, back in COVID time in lockdown, when she was obviously in her mid-90s then, and she said to one of her family, she said, I feel sorry for all the old people, which I thought was brilliant, absolutely brilliant. But it all was well with that as well. So that was good. So that's just a few of the funerals we've done this week. But I had an awfully sad message come through late evening on Tuesday from one of my mates. And that was with the sad news that Rex Curtis had passed away. Now, for all of you regulars listening to the podcast, which I do feel we're like a little family now. 'Tis a lovely feel with the podcast. Wherever you go, you're talking to people about different episodes and that. And of course, very recently, we had Rex on the podcast. And I think he's the one that's done the most episodes in a row. I think we had 5 episodes with Rex. And I could have, if I'd had time and if the battery was still holding up on the microphone, we would have had enough material. I think we could have recorded for another 5 episodes, which I was going to go back and see him later this year. Now, if you can remember from the episodes, Rex had health problems in the past with his art and everything. But when I saw him, when I popped over there to Roach to record, he seemed fit as a fiddle, full of life. We had a brilliant afternoon. We really did. But yeah, it was just a couple weeks ago, something like that. The messages had started coming through to me from friends of Rex and his family as well, that he'd been took off to hospital, again, trouble with his art and everything. But I didn't realise he was as bad as he was. And then I saw some of his family end of last week and they said he ain't too good, really. But again, I mean, he come through so much. I was expecting him to come through it again. But it was so sad when we actually had the message on Tuesday that poor old Rex had passed away. I know as the podcast have evolved over the years, sometimes people, they listen to me bit at the beginning, and then if they don't know the person that's talking, sometimes they do admit to, well, we fast forward little bits and then we listen to the bit at the end. But with Rex, I had so many people that said, never known him, never met him, but we couldn't help but listen to it all, and we listened to it again. Like, you know, he just had that something about him, and he had some lovely stories. If you ever heard it, go back over. It is the last 5 episodes. Well, I think it was episode 185, I think was the first one, which was the 28th of March. But very sad. I thought I'd just have a little clip of what Rex said now. I don't know what the quality will be like because 'tis me putting me mic up to me speaker again. And then I thought perhaps at the end, I might just get Rex to finish off this episode right at the end. But he had such a positive attitude and he just thought what a wonderful life he had. And I think it sums it up with this little bit here now.
When you think about it, I could go on and on and on and on and on. But I've had a lovely life, and my mum and dad brought me up. Work.
Yeah.
But that hurt me one bit.
So isn't that lovely? I just thought I would play that bit because that's how I remember Rex, just saying what a wonderful life he'd had, which is a lovely thought, really. And he's going to be missed by so many all over the place, including up the showground, Royal Cornwall Show. What did he say? He was about 20 when he started up there with all the vintage vehicles and everything. And he's mid-80s now, so it's over 60 years he was involved with that. And I know the Royal Cornwall Show, I love going every year. Some people say to me, wow, I ain't going to go, 'tis all the same. But 'tis meeting up with all your old mates that you perhaps hadn't seen for a while. And it's lovely to meet up with everyone, but it's also tinged with sadness when you think of the ones that ain't there no more. And like there'll be a big hole this year where Rex would have been. And I know my father, I still think of father. Father loved the show. He was involved so much with St. John Ambulance. It is all gone. But Rex, he will be remembered for many years to come. Now, he ain't going to have a proper funeral, but later on in the year, he's going to have a memorial service, which I'm sure will be announced nearer the time. But I am wondering if he's going to have a wake or no. Now, the reason I say that, and we touched briefly on it in the podcast, but again, it was something we was going to come back to. And the reason I mention that is because Rex felt that after his funeral, obviously, he didn't want to miss out on his wake. So going back, I think it was 2012, he actually had his wake. And 'twas up at the Royal Cornwall Showground, which is so appropriate, really. And I think there was over 300 people there, went to celebrate his life. And I think he was 69 at the time. And they raised thousands for charity that night. I think it's for Children's Hospice Southwest. And it was brilliant. He was quoted as saying, I've had one foot in the grave for years, really. So I didn't want to wait until I've gone to have the party. And that just summed him up. And I think I might be wrong, but I think his wake went that well that he then had another one. But I'm not 100% sure about that. But I think that rings a bell with me. So to be interesting to see, he's had his wake already. He maybe have had 2. Will he have another one? So we're thinking of Rex, and we will be thinking of up at the showground this year. So I say, if you haven't heard his podcast, you want to go back and listen to him. 'Tis lovely. I know I was talking the other day. The podcast will be on here for a good few years, decades, I would have thought, maybe forever. And we're putting them on our YouTube channel now. We've got the YouTube channel, The Life and Times of a Cornish Funeral Director. We're putting them all on there. Well, they should be there forever as well. So somewhere you'll be able to listen in years to come to Rex Curtis. So I'll go over now to my second part of me interview with Ken Roberts. We've had lovely comments again. Dear old Ken, lovely chap. He was a bit poorly actually last week. I think took to hospital, but he's out again and fighting fit. So I got a little bit more from Ken, and then end of this, I'll do my little Cornish bit, and then hopefully we'll get Rex to just finish off the podcast. So here it is. So where was Richard's side to? Where did they work from?
Well, Newquay, actually.
Okay.
Ventral Downs is where Mr. Richards and Mrs. Richards, they didn't have a family.
of their own. And he worked for Shellmax and BP. I don't know in what capacity. Well, then, as I understood it, you were with a company that could run like oil tankers from a position in Cornwall, and then there'd be somebody down Red Roof and so on, and then Plymouth and
Right.
MS Richard was most of Cornwall. Well, way down, perhaps as far as just past Newquay. I used to cover all the county, I can remember. So, but I think there was somebody else down west, like us. We were Shellmax and BP distributors or agents, if you like. We weren't Shellmax and BP, but we were.
No.
So anyway, of course, it was when central heating was getting into the homes, and they took us on, and we were trained to do installations and servicing.
I see. Yeah.
Mainly servicing, as I remember.
Yeah.
Servicing boilers. So people would buy their oil. They would really to sell oil and to be able to maintain the central heating boilers.
Yeah.
So that's what the wages was a hell of a lot different in that than it was in the motor trade. So
Yeah.
Dennis Thomas was another one that he's been gone many years. Again, a lovely fella. He was an ex-motor mechanic. But yeah, so I've been doing central heating, working for M.H. Richards then. Well, even Mr. Richards, he had a nephew called David Corsten, lovely fella again.
Yeah.
Well, he was like a father and mother to him. I think he had a father and mother in London, David. That was a good opportunity. I mean, he became, the manager after Mr. Richards.
Was it a big company? Did they have many men working from there?
We had right up as far as Newton Abbot anyway.
Really?
Yeah, the depot at Newton Abbot and Plymouth, Bodmin, Quintal Downs, and one down a bit further. I can't remember that one, but yeah, they were a big crowd. Yeah,
definitely.
A lot of employees. Yeah.
Yeah. So how long did you work with them then? Did you work with them till you retired, or?
Oh no, I went on my own. I went on.
Okay. Yeah.
So M.H. Richard was taken over by another company further west.
Yeah.
And that's when I decided to go on my own.
Yeah.
And Dennis Thomas and also several of us. A lot of people left.
Yeah.
Which turned out to be all right in the end, but a little bit unstabilized,
Yeah.
So yeah, I think M.H. Richards got dissolved, if you like.
So then you started on your own?
Yeah, and then I worked till I was 84 in 2 months.
Really?
But then Dennis and me used to work together. When we were I was the manager of the maintenance, and Dennis was a senior engineer, if you like. Well, if I get a call, see, Mr. Richards and David Coulton lived in Newquay. They had contacts with all the hotels, or most of them.
Yeah.
Then, of course, back in those days, they would ring Mr. Richards or David Coulton and say, look, our boiler's broken down. Well, next thing they had to do was ring me. And I didn't used to bat an eyelid. Yeah. And lots of times I'd ring Dennis. Dennis, are you free? I got a breakdown down. Sure, anywhere. Could be anywhere. And mainly in Newquay.
Yeah.
At that time of night.
Yeah.
Hotel. And we'd go off quite happy.
Yeah.
And we never dreamt that we didn't have the spares on the van. Motors, transformers, thermostats, anything like. We always had it. We never batted an eyelid. Think, oh God, we're doing all this way. I wonder if we got the part. We had the parts.
Yeah.
And of course, you've got to be full of confidence then.
Yeah.
It's just a routine thing. Well, yeah, did that job. Yeah. And of course, they were thought a hell of a lot of what Mr. Richards and David Coulton. The hotels, they thought they were wonderful. Speak to David and get his job done, get the board, keep the customers happy. I never regretted a minute of it. Well, you had to know what you were doing, but also knowing you had the parts was necessary.
Exactly.
And it gave you satisfaction thinking, well, I fitted them up,
So what hobbies have you had? Because I know you still ring bells now, don't you?
Yeah.
So when did you start bell ringing then?
When I was married first, 19 61.
Yeah, sorry. Where you started bell ringing, so out.
Oh, that's the Tootie, yes.
St.
While we
Tootie.
were living with Tessa's mum and dad,
Ah,
we
right.
lived out there for 4 months, something like about 4 months.
I see.
And then Queen's Crescent was ready.
So when you moved in Queen's Crescent, did you still ring up St. Tootie then? Or
No,
you
no.
come in St. Petrock's then?
Yeah. So I started out there, so I knew how to ring the bells. And I've been ringing for all those years anyway.
Mm. So where do you ring to now then?
I live in Bodmin and Lamington. Bodmin 9:15 till 5 to 10. And then I go out to Lamington ring from about 10 to 11.
Have they got good teams then?
No, we're submarines and we're struggling down here for a month or 5 weeks. They had trouble out in Lanarkshire. So whilst they were Bodmin boys, they used to ring with Lanarkshire. And of course, Lanarkshire had trouble with swimming about the tower. And we had these Lanarkshire boys come in.
Right.
And it was lovely. We had 8 or 9 or 10 or 11 sometimes.
Really?
And yeah, we had good ringing.
Yeah.
But out Lanarkshire, we are struggling a bit. We only had 6 yesterday. And of course, there's 8 bells. And we got David Williams. You must know that.
I know David, yeah.
He's a worker, he is.
He is, and
I mean, he's always there. What he's doing, the ground. I think the grass is this high now, so I don't know what the reason is for that. But he keeps the church inside and out. He either does it himself or organises it.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's good.
I think we'll wrap it up there for now,
Right.
if that's all right. Well, thank you, Ken. If you want to say goodbye to the world.
Thanks for coming. I've enjoyed chatting with you. I've been as honest as I could have been, and for what I could remember. So it's been a pleasure.
Proper job. Thank you, Ken. That's lovely. Well, thank you for that, Ken. That was proper. I did have a little bit of a problem there somehow with the quality. I don't know exactly what it is. I was using the same mics and that, but twin 100%. But hopefully you'll be able to have heard what Ken said. And dear of him, was he now nearly 92? Still going strong. For my Cornish word of the week, I thought, seeing we had Clare's funeral this week, local milkman and his mother before him, they're in Wadebridge, I thought I'd do the Cornish word for milk. And that is leth. Leth, L-E-T-H, leth. Dairy is letty, believe it or not, L-E-T-I, letty. And leth was, you got a run of them tonight, leth was, which is L-E-T-H-W-A-S, is milkman. And on Tuesday, Arves that works for us, he drove theirs because he used to work for Clare. Arves was the milkman there. He used to go round when every milkman had a day off. Arves would cover for them. He knew every round in Wadebridge. He was right on, he was. So there we are. So that's me Cornish words for the week. You got 3 of them there. Leth, letty and leth was. For me Cornish dialect of the week. Now this is a word. I got a dear friend. She said, I'll tell you this word, but don't you tell him that 'twas me that said it. So I ain't going to. But 'tis if you got clothes in the cupboard or the wardrobe and you take them out and they well, which I say smelling not fresh, but stale, whatever. 'Tis fousty. Your clothes are a bit fousty. F-O-W-S-T-Y, I would think you spell it. I'm not too sure. Fousty. So that's me Cornish dialect for the week. If you take your clothes out the cupboard or something and they're a bit stale or whatever, that's the word for the week. Right. Well, that's it from me for this week. And I'll speak to you again next week. I hope you have a good week. Wish you well. Do Guinness. Curno Bisfican. And the last word from Rex.
Proper job.